Is I'm calling the Fire Mitigation Advisory Committee meeting to order on Monday, July 25th at 6:37 p.m.
We have present tonight Kelly, Dan, and David, and we are missing Rich, but we do have four. With that, does anybody have any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda?
We can't hear.
Oh, okay. I don't know what you missed, but we've called the meeting to order. We've called the meeting to order, and we have Dan Batten, Kelly Hunter, David Douglas present, Rich Bowman absent. At this time, we are looking at any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda that has been outlined and posted on the town website. I have none. Dan or Kelly?
I have none.
Okay. With that, we will move on to public comment. Do we have anyone who is registered for comment this evening? None? And we shall move to the election of a secretary, and just a little background on this.
David, I'm sorry, Carolyn Bowers here.
Yes.
I did ask Nate if I could give a comment.
Yeah,
I
you
guess
did have, okay. Yeah, I just went too fast.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to know if, have you received many requests for the pledge?
We've received two. At least that's all that have been forwarded to me, or two.
Two?
Yeah. So anything that we can do, Carolyn, to, encourage people through whatever means to look at that, get it in, we will take action on it.
Can you put them in your email? This is Ann.
What do you mean, Ann, when you say put them in the email?
I sent you an email on Carolyn's note. She said we could email you and you could send us one of those forms. I wondered if you can include it.
I responded to you with the form attached.
I don't know why I didn't get it. Would you mind doing it again?
I don't mind.
Thanks. Sorry. Is it posted on the town website?
I don't think that we posted it to the town website, but it might be a good idea.
Okay. I think what I'm going to do is rather than take up time tonight, I might forward you some suggestions on how to, on where to get those out, or some places to get them out.
Okay. Kelly said that she would have the pledge forms with her for Bronc Day this Saturday.
Good.
So they will be available to the public this weekend.
Great. That's great.
Thank you, Carolyn, for asking that question. Okay, moving to election of a secretary. The background on this is that Nate Scott, who has been our secretary since becoming a paid staff member of the town, has resigned, and I think he just became overwhelmed with too many nights of attending various meetings. And so at this point, we're going to need to, within our group, come up with someone who will serve as secretary. Really what that means is looking at the, well, first of all, I think it means getting the Zoom connection activated for the meeting. And then secondary is after the meeting, either take notes during the meeting or watch the video of the meeting afterwards, and transcribing the activities of the committee during the meeting to minutes that can be reviewed. So those are the two duties of the secretary. Do I have someone among the three of us who wants to accept that responsibility?
I can't. I have too many things going.
Okay.
Yeah.
The issue that I have is I may not be here. I mean, every single month. Huh?
I would like to nominate.
Well, that's a
Rich
thought.
Bowman.
Although I think I probably can I can do it. Well, I can't do it from this location, which means we wouldn't have all the gear, right? Well, if I'm not here, somebody else would have to do that.
If you have the Zoom, basically account,
Uh-huh.
then you can set up the meetings. You can actually, basically, act as host for the meetings. But it's tough to be host and running meetings and trying to take notes. That's from experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one to do.
Okay.
And to be a member of the committee, I mean, is it appropriate for a member? Let me turn this on. Is it appropriate for a member of the committee to be doing that?
To be secretary?
Yeah, it is. Okay.
What are the other committees doing, Mayor Dixon?
Well, Park Rec and Trails, I can speak for that one. Nancy is basically my wife, Nancy. I forgot to turn on my mic. Park Rec and Trails, I can speak for that one. Nancy, my wife, is basically the secretary for that one. And she'll take notes and whatnot.
And so she just volunteered
Yeah.
to come in and take the notes.
Yeah, she basically she'll sit up there and she takes really good notes too.
Okay.
But yeah, it is difficult to take notes and participate, but yeah, that's something that.
How effective is the video of the meeting to transcribe?
It's pretty effective, but you got to keep in mind now you're going through the meeting twice,
Right.
and yes, you can kind of fast forward through the video clips to certain points. But yeah, you're basically, if you want to make sure you catch everything, you're basically doubling the time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Can we table this until Rich comes back? And then we're also looking at a new member, correct?
We are.
I mean, I'm just not in a hurry to volunteer for this.
I will, let's see here. I'm happy to transcribe or take notes tonight in the interim until we can make a decision.
So yeah, then you probably need a motion and whatnot to table if it's an action item on that.
You want to make that motion, Dan?
Sure. Motion for David Douglas to be the interim secretary until we can find a permanent.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on. We have one applicant for the open committee membership position of the Fire Mitigation Advisory Committee, and that is Paul Yingling. Is Paul on tonight? I kept looking up there to see if I saw his.
I'm not seeing Paul.
Okay. Yingling. His application is in the, can we look at the application? Or did you print this out? Here you go.
Yes. It's on the agenda.
I do not know Paul personally, and have not met him. He did serve on the Green Mountain Falls Planning Committee for some period of time. I think it's on his application, 7+ years. He resigned from the Planning Commission.
2 years on the planning commission, and then 7+ years consulting public sector organizations in strategic planning and risk management.
Okay.
Well,
So Paul has an interest in redirecting his talent from the planning committee to fire mitigation. I wish you were here to answer some questions, but he is not. So do we have any protocol as far as requiring candidates to be present?
There's no formal protocols that I'm aware of for requiring people to be present. We have voted on people in absence before.
Do any of you have an objection to considering a candidate who is not present?
No objection.
Given the qualifications of this candidate, Paul Yingling, do I have any comments or observations that from either of you that you'd like to be on record with?
Well, I mean, are we allowed to ask a former member of the planning commission if they would recommend?
Yeah, he did fine on planning commission.
Enough said for me.
Yeah, it was one of those things where he attended most, I mean, the big thing is getting people to attend the meetings, and he attended the meetings well.
Yeah. So vested interest in the town, and also 7 years consulting for planning and risk management. That seems like it would be a valuable asset. Only thing I'd like to see on here is willingness to be a secretary.
Well, okay. I can tell him that his recommending him to the board of trustees for approval pending this.
Yeah, he wasn't a secretary on the planning commission, was he?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
No, another one where I kind of wrote my wife Nancy in the.
Good. That means he's due. No, I think his credentials look good.
He did state that his job requires travel, and there may be times that he cannot attend the meeting other than by Zoom. And I told him.
Right. Yeah. As long as we maintain a Zoom presence, I think we'll have a better chance of getting more people attending.
Mhm. Okay.
Here, go ahead and, so everybody can hear you.
Turn on your mic and speak into the speaker.
I agree. I think that the qualifications on the application would be sufficient for me, and the fact that he had done this previously.
Hey, thank you, Kelly. Do I have a motion that we, what we're doing tonight is a motion to recommend to the Board of Trustees that they approve Paul Yingling as a Fire Mitigation Advisory Committee member.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So Paul Yingling will be recommended to the Board of Trustees at the next meeting. Okay. Can I? Oh, there it is. Okay, now we have a guest this evening, Fire Chief Steve Murphy, who is well known to the community. I've heard his name very often, and this is the first time I'm having the opportunity to meet him, but glad to do so. Chief Murphy reached out to us through Rich Bowman, said that he had been contacted by Becky Frank some time ago regarding a chipper program, and he wanted to come and have a
a discussion with us this evening on a chipper program. And Chief Murphy, welcome. And we're looking forward to your
So
comments.
we have access to a chipper through Teller County. The actual Teller County OEM purchased it and made it available to the 8 fire departments in Teller County. And Becky and I have been kicking it back and forth. We've just tried to figure out a date or dates that we can do this. The way they run it up in Teller County is the residents pile the slash on their property, and we have guidelines that we send out to them so that they don't make a big mess that takes forever for us to chip. And then we actually take the chipper to their property and broadcast the chips back onto their land or pile it up for them so that they can remove it. We're not removing the mulch. We've done that in the past, and it's expensive and takes a lot of time. So we wanted to get something like this going in Green Mountain Falls. Probably is gonna have to go into Chipeta Park a little bit too, since that's in part of our district. So Becky agreed to help us with the administration portion of it, getting the addresses and the people that were willing to sign up for it. And the 2 dates that the chipper is available are September 24th and 25th. It's a Saturday and a Sunday. So it's getting kind of, I mean, that's getting kind of late in the season. I prefer myself to work that late because it's a lot cooler. And then this will give people time to get their slash piled up and get their mitigation done. So we just, Becky and I thought through Becky that maybe we could have the fire mitigation committee help us out with it, but it's just one of those things we're going to have to have you guys cheerlead for us, do some marketing and support. But I talked to Chief Lambert at Northeast Teller County today. He says they're doing 60 to 70 piles every time they go out, and they do it with 4 guys. So I'm thinking I'll get trained on the chipper and run it, and then I'll find 3, hopefully 3 volunteers that could help us from the fire department, just so insurance is covered. If not, then I'll be reaching out. Maybe the town. I hate to see the public works guys have to work on a weekend like that because they're not volunteers. So I don't want to mess with the town's budget on things like that. But just 3 or 4 hardy souls that don't mind being around noise and working hard for a couple of days for free.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I'm glad that you said that the date that it's available is so far in the future because I think it's going to take some time to get the word out.
Right.
And so that people can sort of plan.
Yep.
And think about, okay, yeah, I need to do some trimming and cutting in my yard, and I know that I'm going to have this chipper available.
Right.
It gives them an appropriate amount of time.
Yep. And we tried this before with cusp, and it didn't go over too well, but I think people like for us to haul the mulch off or even haul the slash off, or they even like it for us to come and get it and haul it to a slash site for them. And they just stand there and watch us out their window. We just don't have the manpower to do that anymore. We've run a slash site for years. It just got, the first year we did it, it was a huge success. And we chipped slash for weeks after it was like a 3-day drop off, and it took us 2 weeks to chip it all off, and it got away from us pretty quick. And as the years went by, people did less and less work, and it just, my volunteers have to commit a 2-day weekend to chip slash, and it's a lot to ask because we already ask a lot of them to begin with. This is just going to be a voluntold thing. I'll trick them into doing it somehow.
When you say that you will chip it and then brought it, on the spot. So when you pull up with the chipper and somebody's
Yes.
on the side of the road in front of their house and you chip everything up, it's going to be spraying it back out
Back onto their lot.
onto
right.
their lot.
Or we can pile it for them. You can divert the discharge nozzle of the chipper to the ground and make a pile, and they can use it for gardening or erosion control, or they can arrange to have somebody haul it off themselves, or if they've got a friend with a pickup, they can haul it off. Becky has a source. She was talking about a wastewater treatment plant that will take it. And I'm not sure if that's the one up on North Highway 67 in Woodland. But we can nail that detail down and give people that information. But we just wanted to get the date set and then get some help with the actual getting the word out and letting people know that these guidelines, you know, if they're not followed, we just have to pass your house up and you're going to have a big pile of debris in your yard. So it's pretty specific. They paid a lot of money for this chipper, and I don't know if you were involved in any of the county chipping that we did, but people would bring us fence posts and trash out of their yards. And we wound up, you know, basically hauling their yard waste off for them. And that it just got too expensive. We were getting the money from the state through the Forest Service, and it didn't last. We burned it all up in fuel and hiring a dump truck to haul the slash off. And we tried to do donations, and that didn't help. I mean, it was, you know, we'd get a person would bring us 20 truckloads of slash and drop $5 in the boot. So it wasn't it was not, didn't pay for itself at all.
Kelly, is this something that can be, it seems like the last minute here, but is this something we could add into the Bronx Day a public awareness, a booth that you and Dan are manning, and so that people could sign up? I mean, they literally could sign up if we said we were going to have this available on September 24th and 25th. And do we have to get Board of Trustee approval to agree to this date? I mean, I think what Chief Murphy is asking is for the Fire Mitigation Advisory Committee to promote this. So we have a means of promoting it. I think the town has to agree to do it.
I think you could probably go ahead and start promoting. We could go ahead and give it in front of the board and promote it as well. That would be my thought.
And Steve, you're saying that 24th and 25th are the days that the chipper is already scheduled for this area for you guys?
I haven't nailed it down, but I talked to Chief Lambert today, and he said it is free that weekend.
Okay.
So all I have to do is call him and let him know not to let it go those 2 days, and he would save it for us. And we've got a new rescue truck with a hitch and all that, so we'd be able to hook it up to our rescue and drag it around.
Hey, Chief and Chairman Douglas.
There she
this
is.
Becky. If I can chime in a little bit, this will really end up being a program that is put on by the Fire Protection District. The MOU that will have to be signed in order for that organization to utilize the chipper will be between the fire department and Teller County. They do that in like as Chief said, to be able to ensure that the machine is protected. There are some certain things that, and it really comes down to just getting the communication out to folks as far as how the slash needs to be stacked. So that, and that's you know, an equipment safety and a safety issue there as well, just to where they're not trying to fight brambled stacks of slash, but also it helps to promote efficiency and getting that machine through neighborhoods more quickly. I feel as though I'm pretty familiar with that flyer. If Chief Lambert can get me the most recent copy of it, I'm happy to help add Green Mountain Falls in, our dates on there as, once they're approved, once they're solidified. And we know for sure. And then I don't know what the fire department's ability is to be able to get this out on social media. And as far as, administrative functions of getting a map put together, any support that we can help to get this project going, kicked off the ground and make it more efficient, we're happy to do internally, because it's a because it's the fire mitigation or the fire department's project, and really the only role of the fire mitigation advisory committee will be to help get the word out and educate folks. I don't know that it's something that necessarily needs to get run through the board, but I know that we're certainly happy to help support it in any way that we can.
Would that include posting it on the town website?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I could have information at Bronc Days at the table also, maybe an email where they can say they'd like to sign up for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Becky and I talked about making a Gmail account just for this so that we can track folks. I hope we get bum rushed. I'm not really seeing it happen. So
Could you have that information on a flyer that we could hand out at Brock Days?
yeah, we already have the flyer, and Becky made this flyer up when she was at Teller County. So I can send you, if you don't have a soft copy of it, I can send this to you tomorrow, and then you can massage it as you need to, because it's got our phone number on here right now. It just says to call the fire department for scheduling, and that's a crapshoot up there as to whether or not anybody's going to answer the phone.
Exactly. We can figure out a way to make it a little bit more functional.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we had a flyer ready to hand out this Saturday, then I'd be happy to do that.
This is what it looks like. I mean, I don't see any reason to change that. It's perfect the way it is. I printed it in black and white because I'm cheap, but it's really a colorful flyer, and the pictures of the slash piles are a lot more clear when you print them in color. And it's self-explanatory as to how to pile the
Okay.
slash. And there's like Willow. We used to run Willow through the county chipper, and it was like trying to chip rope.
Yeah.
So we wasted a lot of time cleaning the chipper out. So as long as people follow those guidelines, it's going to be pretty.
Could we be able to add the Green Mountain Falls date to that?
Yes.
Okay. So if we just add the date to that, and then whatever contact email you guys come up with so people can schedule, then we can hand that out. We can explain a little bit of the rules, and then explain to them the importance of following these rules, and then emphasize where they can go to schedule it and when it's going to happen.
Yep.
Then yeah, I think that'd be good.
Yep. And then Becky and I will get together. She's talking about making a spreadsheet, which I can spell spreadsheet. That's as far as it goes.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah. And I can't even spell it correctly. I can get it close. So she's going to help with that as far as getting addresses, and I can map it so that we're not just driving around. I mean, if we wind up driving around like, crazy people looking for all these things, that so be it. But again, I don't see a whole bunch of people taking us up on this, just because I just doing this in the past. They all want the mulch to just go away.
Right. Have we done it where we've mulched it back into their property?
Cuss did it a few years ago, and I think 3 people took them up on it, and they all had it piled instead of broadcast. And then they had the pile. Some of them used the piles for landscaping, and some of the piles, they just disappeared. I don't know what happened to them. I didn't ask.
When it shoots the, you can adjust the spray on that machine really, really nicely to where it distributes them in a really thin way that after we get a couple of rainstorms, you really don't even notice them up on the property just because they are so dispersed.
Right.
Well, one of the things that we can also emphasize at the booth is the importance of doing it,
Right.
to try to encourage people to sign up for it. It's a good way of getting rid of all your ladder fuels and things like that. So
Right.
we can, I'll put on my
free.
salesman hat.
Free use of a chipper. So that's pretty
Yeah.
big.
Mhm.
6-inch, which is pretty healthy. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
The county's, I think, was 8-inch, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it's not a competition.
Right. But I mean, we never had anything come in that we couldn't handle with the 8-inch chippers.
Yeah.
It's usually just branch. Most people aren't cutting down trees. They're doing ground clearance and cutting branches up, doing ladder fuels and things like that. So.
Well, we might have a little bit more participation because I'd have to imagine that there's probably a lot of people still dealing with the broken limbs from that last heavy snowstorm.
Yep.
So I would imagine we might have more than 3 people this year.
Yeah, I hope so.
I've had some people contact me to ask, what can they do with slash from their yard?
Yeah.
So I do think we're getting momentum with people doing the work that needs to be done. And you may be right. We may not get very good participation September 24 and 25. But I think the key is you have some routine that people get, they know over time that there's going to be set dates and they'll plan.
Right.
So I think what we have to do is give this a chance to work.
Yep.
And not just say, oh, it was a failure on.
Well,
I for one will be signing up. So there's one.
our past sites were done by the Community Wildfire Protection Plan folks down in Topeka Park. And that was part of being a Firewise community, is you had to do 2 a year with in-kind labor, which we did with back then we had more than 9 volunteers. So we had plenty of people to help us. And then the county wildland crew came up and helped as well. But we had people trained that there was a slash drop-off site twice a year, one in the spring and one in the fall. And the spot we had picked out down at the school bus barn got to be an issue with the neighbors. They were tired of the noise and the dust, and and then getting rid of this huge pile of mulch that we created. We were like, oh, great. We're asking people or telling people if we got free mulch, and they would show up in their Subaru with 2 5-gallon buckets. And they're like, hey, thanks for the mulch. And we're like, oh, that didn't help. So Rob MacArthur used to take it and put it around the lake just to help get rid of it. But there was even a point when he says, yeah, it's 3 feet deep. I don't need any more over there. So we wound up paying to haul it off. And I think we hauled it down to Rocky Top.
Yeah. Okay.
And I agree with David, winning the hearts and minds of the town residents and getting them to have buy-in isn't just a 1 season thing. It's going to take a few. And, if we start off small, we start off small.
Yeah.
But like I said, I suspect that we'll have a little bit more participation this year than maybe before.
Yep.
And also if you put it on the website, you can share my phone number on the website with it if they have questions about it, and I can have conversations with people. We already have our phone numbers or our emails. Sorry. We have you can share my email on there. And if they leave their phone number, then I can maybe give them a phone call. And if they have questions or if they're, wondering what really is the benefit of this, then I can have that conversation with them. So
Okay.
I'd be willing to do that.
All right. Perfect. And that'll be a Becky thing too.
Well, and if you,
That'll be a Becky thing
Okay.
too, to get it on the website. And then we have a Facebook page that I think we have 13 followers on, so they'll know about it. So.
well, and if you have the option of going to Teller and it costs you $20 on a Saturday for a truckload, or
Okay,
down to Rocky Top for $5 on a Saturday for a truckload, or someone come to your property and do it for free.
right.
Uh, um, So who will make the modification? But Becky, are you willing to make the modification to the flyer and print enough that we have an adequate supply for this coming Saturday's Bronc Days?
Sure, I'm happy to do that. I'll reach out to Chief Lambert and get a clean copy of that. I might doll it up and customize it just for Green Mountain Falls. I don't think that it's really relevant to the rest of our community members where it's going the rest of the time. But I'll hype it for this weekend and print out a few and make them. I might do half sheets just for paper savings. So then they'll be easier to hand out that way, and we'll get it going. Chief, we're pretty solid on those dates.
Yes.
Okay, great. And I'll let's get together offline and we'll work out some of the finer details. I'm around most of the day tomorrow. Just hit me up when you're free.
Okay.
Kelly, do you want to coordinate with Becky then in terms of, getting the printed document once it's ready?
Yeah, I can do that, Becky. I have to pick up flyers from Nate anyway that I dropped off today.
We've got a whole lot of coordination to do before this.
And what about, do we want to let people sign up on Bronc Day? In other words, if they say, oh, gee, yeah, I want to, do we have a sign up sheet that we can let people put their information on right in the moment? Or can we have one?
We could,
I'd recommend putting together a mailing list, letting them to sign up for some notifications, and then we can develop a little bit of a form and mail it out or email it out to them. So I think if we can collect email addresses, otherwise I feel like people are going to sign up now and not have a pile ready, and that might everything sounds good at a festival, but when it comes down to the week before and you don't have your pile ready.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I've
if we
got a
could just get
newsletter list as well.
Sorry?
I've got a newsletter email address book as well. And if you want to send it to me, I can post it out on that.
Oh, great. Well, Becky could send it to you.
Yeah. I don't know how many people I've got signed up. Handful.
Okay. Well, I think the Fire Mitigation Advisory Committee is prepared to provide public awareness for this program on September 24th and 25th.
Very good. You're awesome.
Thank you,
You bet.
Chief Murphy.
We'll see how it goes.
Thank you for coming and making this a priority.
You bet. Becky and I have been talking about this for a while, so it's just had time to get it together. I've been trying to get the volunteers to buy in on it. They won't, so they're just going to get voluntold. So,
Okay.
If you need volunteers outside of, your voluntolds, are they also covered under the insurance?
I'm going to have to find that out. That'll be a board question. I don't think they would be. We would have to sign them up as a volunteer, which is a kind of a process. So yeah, I'll try it without getting outside help first and see. We just, Tyler, I mean, his guy's doing 60 or 70 piles a day with just 4 guys. It was pretty eye opening. I was like, oh, okay, and they're doing a lot bigger area than, what we would have geographically. Their district is huge. So we'll try it and see. I have 3 probies that all I got to do is give them the look. And
Got to take advantage of that while you can.
yeah. Yeah, so we'll worry about that. That's a small detail. It's just getting the word out and getting folks signed up for it.
Okay. Sounds great. Thank you. All right, shall we move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the standing dead trees agenda item. And what we're referring to is the town ordinance, Article 8, trees. And what we currently have is a definition for nuisance trees. And that definition is as follows. Nuisance trees are defined as trees which pose a threat to public safety or adjacent public property, including but not limited to public rights of way or trees which harbor any destructive or communicable disease or other pestilence which endangers the well-being of other trees in the town, or which are capable of causing an epidemic spread of insect infestation. So the question has been put to the Fire Mitigation Advisory Committee is if this nuisance tree definition should include specifically a dead tree, a standing dead tree. To make it more enforceable, I suppose, is the.
Yeah, it's you know, if we have something where, like what you just read, okay, how do we even get someone to make that determination? And if we had something that mainly that could possibly say standing dead and maybe even define standing dead as greater than 60% vegetation loss or whatever, or browning, that's something anyone can do visually. And so it sounds to me like it might be a more enforceable type of situation rather than trying to tie it back to a disease or beetles.
I think I'm happy to make a recommendation from this committee, assuming that our committee agrees, to include dead or dying trees as part of the definition. And, you know, we can make a dying tree be one which is currently infected with mistletoe. I think that's probably a communicable disease or other pestilence. So it could be either beetles or mistletoe, that the tree is in the active process of dying.
Yeah, something that would be fairly easy for, like, say, anyone here at town hall that's not an arborist or something like that. What I'm thinking of, we may want to try to steer clear of something where we're trying to make a definition, where we're trying to go out and enforce something, you know, trying to make it as easy as possible for basically an office type person to be able to go out and say, okay, it's obvious over half your trees dead.
Right, you're wanting something that's easily identifiable by a layman, not somebody that's necessarily a
Yes.
forester.
Exactly.
Because yeah, whenever you're talking about the communicable disease, that's something that, like, you know, if you're talking to a private landowner, I'm assuming that they'll probably want some kind of diagnoses by an expert.
You know, we get in all kinds of enforceability problems
Mhm.
throughout codes, and this one just kind of popped out to me as another potential opportunity for an enforcement nightmare.
But even, I mean, it's not going to be a clear fix. I mean, I'm not against it, but you know, even saying that a tree is dead is arguable. You know,
Really?
Well, I mean, it depends on the state of dead, right? So you could have a standing tree that's been dead for 20 years and can look obviously dead to to a fifth grader, and not having, you know, the Forest Service come and look at it. But then there are other trees that may be dead, that somebody could still argue, well, no, it greens up in the spring or whatever.
Yeah, that's where I was thinking, you know, if it had like some kind of like greater than half of its leaves or needles are brown.
Have we sought any kind of recommendation or input from the Forest Service, the State Forest Service?
No, I thought I'd bring it to this committee first and try to get your opinions, and then we can go from there.
You know, that would be one of my first steps, is to reach out to them and say, hey, if you're wanting to define something that can be identified by a common layman, then, you know, what do you recommend? Just let them know what we're doing. And I mean, they're the experts in this field, so they may say, yeah, the ordinance that I've seen in the past that work well is a percentage of, you know, brown needles or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think dead trees probably should be added to it. I mean, in general.
So we would make a recommendation tonight to the Board of Trustees that a dead tree, an obviously dead tree, is part of this definition.
Yeah.
And a further enhancement of that definition, we would recommend we get from the Forestry Service.
Yeah, maybe a more nuanced definition of it, or just what they recommend. Tree has signs incompatible with life.
My thought was that you just insert the word dead tree.
Well, you might want to have standing in there as well, because if you got them laying down.
Okay, standing dead tree, somewhere in this definition. I think, you know, it's a fairly long sentence. It is one sentence with a lot of commas. Defined as trees which pose a threat to public safety or adjacent public property, included but not limited to public rights of way, or trees which are standing dead and or harbor any destructive or communicable disease or other pestilence.
Yeah. I mean, this is pretty easily enforceable for town-owned lands, but it's the private land enforcement that.
Yeah, it gets into private land enforcement where we have to be real careful.
Right, and then, you know, I can hear all kinds of strawman arguments on that, habitat trees, things like that.
We could also just make a new sentence at the end that says nuisance trees also include standing dead trees.
And do you want to limit the trees or trees and brush?
That's a big jump.
Yeah.
Limit the trees for now?
Are we actually going to enforce this now, or?
Yeah, over the next probably year, we're probably going to be starting to get into more and more enforcement.
And that's going to be the town marshal that will be enforcing it?
Or if we can find a deputy.
One of the things, if we're going to go to that length, I would like to add trimming tree branches up to 10 feet. I mean, to me, that's as important as anything else we can do.
Yeah, that might be under the new WUI codes if we put those in land use.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw this under nuisance, and this is actually under existing municipal code. And so that's something that may be considered for putting in the land uses, some of the WUI stuff where we're saying trim them up so high, have stuff out so far.
I think it's hard to put in brush without putting in limbing up the tree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
Those two to me go hand in hand. If you've got a brush fire and you hadn't limbed up your tree, now you got a canopy fire.
Yeah, thinking.
That brush fire is good enough, by the way.
Yeah. Just sitting there thinking more about it. We probably ought to limit it to trees and probably ought to take care of brush in the, you know, if we pull in the WUI.
In the WUI. I think that's probably more appropriate.
Yeah.
I mean, just because this is, I mean, it's Article 8 trees. So
Yeah.
I would say, let's just keep it to trees, and then, we're adopting a WUI code.
I think that's up for discussion, and it seems to have at least some momentum.
That's great news.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, it would be my recommendation to just keep the trees under this article and then any of the brush mitigation. Yeah, maybe put that elsewhere.
So does the committee agree that adding a sentence at the very end of this definition that just says standing dead trees are included in the definition?
Or maybe the recommendation should read, the committee desires to have standing dead trees added to the definition. And then we can work with legal and whatnot.
I think I feel perfectly comfortable saying that. I still recommend reaching out to Dave Paletti at the Forest Service and just getting some advice from them. But yeah, as a committee member for this committee, I would certainly support just adding standing dead trees, not only for fire mitigation, but I mean, for just, you know.
Can you make that a motion?
Sure. How do I word this? Motion to.
There's two parts, I think, what I heard you say. Getting in touch with the Colorado State Forester, David Paletti, for a definition on a near dead tree.
So I motion that the town board of trustees reach out to the State Forest Service in Woodland Park for advice in clearly defining the nuisance trees in Article 8 of the town code.
I'll second that.
Okay.
And then I would like to motion that we add the verbiage that a standing dead tree is classified as a nuisance tree in Article 8.
So that's two motions, right?
Mhm.
And you seconded the first.
And I'll second the second.
All right. So we will vote on the first one. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Sorry.
Okay, passes. And now we will vote on the second motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Dan passes. Does the committee give me discretion to write that recommendation to be included in the Board of Trustees
Yes.
packet?
That'd be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'll do that.
And thank you very much, because that was something that caught my attention when I was going through, and it kind of has bugged me. So yeah, it's time to get it corrected.
Okay. Very good. Thank you for bringing that up, Mayor Dixon. Okay, I think the next item 8 is a grant opportunity that the town has been presented with. It's a GOCO CYCA conservation service grant. And I think, I'm not sure what it says action required. But I'm not sure what the action is. I mean, we can't contract with these organizations. We could recommend it. We could say we approve, we believe it's a recommendation. Becky, are you still there? And can you help us in terms of what it is you want the Fire Mitigation Advisory Committee to do in terms of an action here?
To be honest, I am not yet familiar with this grant, and I'm not certain who put this on your agenda.
Well, Nate put it in the agenda packet, so it was a surprise to me as well. It was included in the agenda packet when it was sent out.
Okay, yeah, and I haven't had a chance to take a look at it. You'll have to excuse me, but I think that if it's something that I'll look into it. And if you're willing to entertain, I'm not sure when the deadline is for this, but
I believe it is, I'll see here. You submit your app to us by August the 19th at the latest.
okay, sweet. We have a little bit of time, I think, for some offline conversation. And I think with any grant, it's important to ensure that we have the capacity not only to manage them well, but that we have a really good scope of work and a clear directive on what we hope to accomplish there. But certainly if it's something that you all feel as though is important and could be valuable to the town, we can certainly look into it and see if it fits. I think, unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to.
Well, let me help you out here just a little bit, Becky. I'm struggling a little bit like you, but I do see a memo here that Nate has written where he's sort of giving some instruction. He says that the town staff will be talking to CJ Runge at Mile High Youth Corps Tuesday morning, July 26th, which I believe is tomorrow.
Yeah.
Regarding this opportunity, and we plan to apply pending budget considerations. We will discuss internally potential funding and in-kind sources for budgeting purposes. Then we can report back to the FMAC for support with the grant application as necessary. So I think it seems to me this is more of just an information than it is action, although the agenda says action required or desired.
Okay.
So,
Thanks, David. I'll circle back with Nate tomorrow and find out if that's something that he's wanting to pursue.
okay. I mean, anytime somebody, there's a grant opportunity, it does look like there is a match required here. So it would require some budgeting.
I'm assuming it'll probably come in under 2023 budgeting.
Yeah, like I said, I hadn't really.
And so this would be something that we, would definitely want to try to get into, next year's budget to try to make sure if there is a match required, that we've got it properly funded from some source. Because we can use multiple sources.
Is this specifically for Mile High Youth Corps?
Well, it is what is GOCO?
Great Outdoors Colorado.
Yeah, Great Outdoors Colorado.
Okay, so apparently that is the source of the funding. And they are doing it in collaboration with Colorado Youth Corps Association. So is Colorado Youth Corps the umbrella organization for Mile High Youth Corps?
Well, regardless, CJ Runge has offered to have a conversation to talk about it. And I mean, it looks like this is basically in anticipation of us receiving another co-swap grant in 2023. Okay. I mean, regardless, I think anybody who's contacting us, offering us money, we should probably go after it. So, I mean, keep it as general as that.
I agree.
So yeah, maybe the thing is to have a fire mitigation committee support, officially support the go get it, go after it type of thing.
We're cheerleading.
Full support.
Go get it. Okay. All right. So it sounds like there's a meeting tomorrow morning with town staff and representatives of this grant opportunity. And so I guess that's next step, and we'll know what to do after that.
If it turns out to be something different, I'll shoot y'all a communication, let you know.
That'd be great, Becky. Thank you. All right. I believe that moving on to item 9, we agreed in our last meeting that out of a list of priorities that we had established as a committee, that the first 2 priorities we really wanted to begin working on are education and assessment. And I believe the education piece, Kelly and Dan took that as co-chair. Am I correct in that? And I believe that Dan and Rich took assessment program as their responsibility to begin developing this. So the thought tonight was, do we have a preliminary review available, or where do we stand on this?
I have nothing to report for the assessment program as of yet.
Okay. What is between you and Rich, what have y'all talked about in terms of developing something that's an assessment program for our town?
We haven't spoken.
Okay. Do you think you will have something, as at least an outline for us for our next meeting?
Yep.
Okay. And Kelly, same
Um,
questions for you?
On education, we'll have the booth at Bronc Days. I have a whole box of literature out in the car to put on the table that I've received from CUSP and the Forest Service, similar and duplicate of what I had at the Mayor's Forum,
Mm-hmm.
and some additional pieces that I received from a woman up in Teller County who's done education for their department up there, for the fire department in Teller. And I'm waiting to hear back from the fire chief up there about what additional educational materials I'll be able to hand out that he might have available.
Okay.
From Northeast Teller?
Yep.
It is probably going to be the same thing as from the Forest Service.
Nope, there was more.
Well, really?
Mhm.
Oh, good. Things have changed since I was there.
Well, I certainly have no objection to taking what somebody else has done
Mhm.
and adopting it. If it works for us, then I think that's a fine idea. No point in reinventing the wheel.
Exactly.
Okay. I think an element of both education and assessment program review is the two documents that we prepared back for the mayor's forum in late June, no, early July. And that was the resource document that we prepared and the pledge. And I think those two documents are important to both education and the assessment, because I think we all said the pledge included somebody agreeing to have an assessment.
Right.
And so if we can get that, those two documents really more visible to people, more out there where we really have participation, I think we're going to have a good start. But we got to figure out how we're going to get people to respond, because the mayor's forum, we had, I guess everybody took one of those, or those two documents, but we've gotten, as we said earlier tonight, two responses.
My
Right.
plan is to make additional copies and ask them to fill it out and leave it with me on Saturday.
Mhm.
I won't make that same mistake I made at the Mayor's Forum.
Which is to let them walk out with it.
Yeah.
Will we have like clipboards and pens and stuff like that so they can fill it out right there?
That's a good idea. I don't have clipboards and pens.
Is that something the town has?
All you need is a couple, right?
Yeah.
A handful of pens, but I'm not so sure we got the clipboards. I'm not real sure of.
I can pick up clipboards and
Yeah,
I could probably
And
find
I
a
can
clipboard here and
be
there.
a pen klepto just about anywhere.
yeah, we had a big stash of pens and I think we're down to about 4 or 5 out front now.
I've got extra pens at home. I
Okay.
steal them all the time.
I do have a question. You said one of the requirements for this commitment would be to say, okay, to have someone come out and do an assessment.
Mhm.
Like I've had like 3 assessments done.
Mhm.
Do you have an option to where someone can say, I've had assessments done and still get the commitment?
Well, I don't think that it was that they had to have an assessment done. It was just part of the pledge saying that I would like to have an assessment done. Check. Right.
Really,
But
the other part of why I wanted to do this is we need a way to begin to catalog our town's residents, the people who are truly interested in doing something, so that we can begin some sort of regular dialogue with them. That we have a database of people who have expressed enough interest that they've at least filled out a form and said, hey, I'm in. And if we can get that and get that sort of buy-in, then we can start communicating to people programs like the Chipper, like, engaging people. And until you get to that point of having some engagement, that's a two-way street. It's just not going to get off the ground.
I heard it sounded like for the pledge, okay, I'm going to get an assessment. like I've had three.
Mhm.
And I know exactly what it is.
So you've gotten an assessment. What did you do with the assessment? Did you action it? Did you?
Yeah, actually I've cleaned off down below
Yep.
the road. I still have a little bit more trimming to do on one of the scrub oaks.
Mhm.
It's kind of in the right of way, which, we're kind of on. But yeah, I've trimmed up down below the tree, so it's not directly underneath the tree now. But yeah, there's still a little bit more trimming on the scrub oak.
So another part of this is we need to begin to catalog our residents' response to getting an assessment. So we can begin to have a database that can go along with grant applications to say, we've got this many of our town's people participating. And here's what they've done. Mayor Dixon, got 3 assessments done, and he's done everything he was told was wrong. It's that sort of database of, and because I really believe that helps sort of strengthen the town's commitment when the word of mouth gets out that we're really doing something.
So then I could say to people on Saturday, if you fill this out, this helps us to become a Firewise community. And this helps us to get grant money to help people.
We already are,
Yeah.
I think, a Firewise community, aren't we, Chief Murphy?
We are.
Just barely.
Okay.
But
You could
to
say it helps
maintain
us. Yeah, you could say it helps maintain that
it maintains
status.
it. But it is to me, the most important part is when you're making a grant application.
Right.
That you can say in the grant application that the residents of Green Mountain Fall, the property owners of Green Mountain Falls have bought in to the mitigation program, and here's what they're doing.
Right.
And I think that goes a long way with the grant, the grantors.
Right.
That in their approval process.
I agree.
That's what I've been told.
No, I agree.
If we get feedback and data from the people who are involved in this, we can also get the information of why or why not they why they were or were not able to complete the mitigation that they were advised to do. If we can provide, grantors, hey, most of our population who's trying to do mitigation have said that X or Y is the reason that they weren't able to do it, then how do we get something to help them do that? So it's all data. Everything's data driven, right? So.
Data-driven helps. Really does.
Again, though, this is a long-term endeavor. It takes years to get
Well,
that kind of.
It is part of what we have here listed as the education program, the assessment program, and getting those developed.
Yep.
And I think part of the assessment program is not just the assessment, it's the follow-up at some point. There's going to be a follow-up 6 months down the road. Have you done it or not?
Yeah.
Next thing is killing one.
No, that's the town's responsibility to cite that neighbor to get those nuisance trees done.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so if we could make a little progress by our next meeting on those two, the education and assessment programs, and hey, if I need to get involved in that process in between our meetings in the discussion with y'all, I'm happy to do that. Okay. All right. Nate, I think, provided an update on the progress of our current 2 major projects, the Mile High Youth Corps and the CUSP project. One thing I'm just really thrilled to say is we finally got the Iona Scott corridor.
Not totally.
Not totally.
Below Iona still needs work. There's still trees marked.
Okay.
But between Iona and Hondo,
Yep.
They're done.
Looks great.
It's
Looks
great.
fantastic.
Really?
Yes, it's done.
I haven't been up there.
You should.
Yeah,
You should
Love
go.
Angels Trail. It's totally different.
It's almost nothing but aspens now.
Yeah.
So between Iona, Hondo, the
Iona
main
and Hondo,
project
yeah.
area that's,
That
that we looked at.
area.
And
Oh,
all
wow,
up
I
behind
hadn't
my
been there.
house looks
Yeah.
like it's done.
I didn't know that was done.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Now, so they cut the wood into firewood size.
So no
There's
bowls up
logs-
there.
There's logs up on Angels Trail that people can get. And
So
I
we need-
even pointed someone up there over the weekend. They were asking about them. I said, if they're cut down, if they're in the right of way, they're free.
Yeah, we need to get the word out that people can, if they want to go and pick the
Yeah.
stuff up and haul it out, they can do it.
Yeah, I did one Facebook post on it and I'll probably do another if I hike up there again and still see logs sitting there.
I'll go take a look at it. And while I'm there, I'll pick up some logs.
There you go.
Mine is still just trees. It's not logs.
This, the easy part is up closer to Hondo. There's still logs
Yeah.
stacked up there.
That's
I'll-
the easy
I'll-
part.
I'll do the hard part. No, I'll save the easy part for everybody else. But I could use firewood, so.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that was done. So that's exciting.
It looks good. It looks fantastic.
Excellent.
To continue on with cusp, and I'm going to come back to you in just a minute, Kelly, on your, the area behind your house. The whole program that we had in place with cusp, the Swift crews they were using to implement that was not working out because of travel. The amount of time between their prison address and us. And so they were not accomplishing nearly the amount of work. So actually the cost per acre was really just eating cusp up. So what they've decided to do is look at other contractors. So they sort of stepped back from the project. They're looking at other contractors. They're certain that the price per acre will likely increase using other contractors. But they will get back on this. It may not be this year that they complete the amount of acreage that they originally had committed to. So that's the cusp thing. So going to Mile High Youth Corps, what you're saying, Kelly, is you're seeing a lot of full logs behind your house. Is that
They
right?
took the trees down, but they're not cut into logs.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it says in their report that they're not bucking the logs for sake of time. So, and I agree with that. To me, it's more important that they get those trees down and then buck them up. So if they're finding that the better use of their time to make more acreage is to just leave the bowls down and not buck them, then I would agree with that.
There is a bullet point later that says that they are meeting, I guess, it says on Monday. I don't know if that was today or what Monday they're talking about, to talk about a fuel removal cleanup strategy that would likely have Mile High Youth Corps cut more into firewood piles near access points. They will also cut some 30-footers into smaller chunks for easier scattering to improve aesthetics. So it sounds like if you kind of follow this report, June 6th through 23rd, which is the second bullet point, they talk about where they're not cutting the logs into shorter sections. And then they sort of move towards backtracking because Don Walker's project or his idea of skidding those logs out is apparently not going to happen. So they'll have to be carried out now.
Okay, so that was something that wasn't approved by the Board of Trustees?
Never got to the point of a recommendation. And will not get to a point of recommendation.
I think I'm tracking. All right.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, is mitigation wise, even if they left the bowls on the ground like that, it's much better for fire behavior than if they were standing. The only problem is that if we don't drag that biomass out, then we're not meeting the prescription of the co-swap grant. So we have to get it out. But right now, it is better than it was.
It looks really good. I hiked Thomas Trail this weekend and they're making great progress.
Yeah.
They're making really good progress.
I think I hiked it on Friday. And yeah, all the crown spacing looks really good now. I actually ran into those guys a couple weeks ago when I hiked it then, and they actually asked me about what I thought about their idea of gridding it and keeping track of it. I think it's written in the bullets here. And I supported that idea. I thought that was a good way to keep track of where they were and the progress they make and all that. So good young folks up there doing good work.
Mhm.
I'd like to ask a question and make a proposal.
Yes.
What do y'all think about having a barbecue for them on October 10th? For that whole mitigation crew to say thank you.
Oh, the August 10th, you mean?
Yes.
August
What did I
10th?
say, October?
Yeah.
Yeah, I meant
August
August, the other October.
It was mentioned in that GoCo letter that, we've established a relationship with them. I would support cultivating that relationship and doing something like that. It's not like a huge group of them.
No,
I think the heaviest one among them is like 130 pounds. They can't eat that much.
Want to bet.
Yeah, that's true.
I have no objection. I will not be here on August 10th to help. So I guess the question is, who's going to organize and sort of, funding for food and doing the actual work?
I can help Nate and work with him on that. I don't know where the funding will come from, but I can help Nate and put it together.
Okay.
The donations policy did get passed Tuesday.
Oh, okay. So we can accept donations from people.
Are we accepting donations on Saturday?
We should. I'd love to get a firehouse boot and throw it in there, or unless you'd want something more secure than that.
Say again.
A firehouse boot. Is that
Well,
what you said?
a boot like.
Oh,
one of the
like
Fireman's
like
boot.
an MDA fill the boot thing.
Unless you want something more secure than that.
I would say that's probably more up to you because again, anytime you're dealing cash, the sooner we can get it in here and get it locked up, probably the better. I mean, if nothing else, I've got a key.
Do you guys have any like zipper bank bags or anything like that?
I
No.
have one.
You do?
Mhm.
Well, I mean, if you could do the boot, because everybody fill the boot's kind of like a universal sign of, hey, give us money. Once the boot gets filled up though, you kind of grab some out and throw it into that zipper bag. I don't know how many people will be at Bronc Days that would be willing to fill the boot, but that gets filled up with ones pretty quickly. That's what my recommendation would be. And what I would tell people is like, hey, these kind of donations go to, throwing an appreciation barbecue for all the fun young people that are up there.
So basically anything
working.
under $5,000 is, and I hope I'm getting this right, anything under $5,000, the committee can actually disperse, but we do have the staff look at it just in case there's any red flag items. But there seemed to be a $5,000 limit in it. So that's what we picked.
Okay.
Yeah, do we just bring that, like the money, just bring it straight here?
Yeah, depends on whenever Bronc Day is done. I'd say if nothing else, find me after the dunk tank, and if things are winding down, and we can run it up here and we'll lock it up here.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any other business that needs to be discussed this evening? We're at the end of our agenda. None? Well, in that case, I think that our meeting has come to its end, and I'm adjourning the meeting as of 8:57. Thank you all.